Hello, welcome. Sit down, get situated, get comfortable. While you're just getting settled in there, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. So what you just did is actually the hardest part, and that's over. It's all gonna be downhill from here. Well, I just mean in terms of, finding a therapist, scheduling an appointment, making the phone call, getting in the car to drive over here. All of that initiation that you had to do on your own, I always find that's actually the most challenging. Now we're a team. Now we're like in this together, and I can help you from here on out. You don't have to do any of the rest of this work on your own. So, as I mentioned over the phone, today's not going to be about, a diagnosis or a label. Today, we're just going to observe things, all right? So, oftentimes when we're standing like in the eye of the storm, all of our thoughts that are circling around us can be very chaotic, very overwhelming. So what I want to do today, the goal of today's session, is just to allow you to take some of those thoughts, and we're just going to lay them out on the table. We're just going to kind of look and observe, and hopefully you'll be able to see things from a new and fresh perspective by the end of today. Just have a little more clarity on what's been going on inside your mind. Does that sound good? All right, so you're comfortable? Okay, perfect. So we're going to start simple. Before we get started, I just want to also say there's obviously no, right or wrong answers here, and feel completely free to say, I don't know, because oftentimes, like I said, our mind can get so jarbled that we might not even be aware of certain things, and that's what we're gonna figure out as time goes on. So first, I'm just curious, what thoughts have been taking up the most real estate in your mind lately? And what I mean by that is, have you noticed that any thoughts are kind of on a loop? There's anything that you kind of seem to keep ruminating over, something that, whether it's a specific memory or one sentence that you keep saying to yourself over and over. Do you recognize anything? Okay. Well, that's actually very helpful. Okay. So when things start to feel off, like as you said, what's the first signal that your system gives you? Is it a physical symptom in terms of like your sleep starts to get a little bit disturbed? You feel a tightness in your chest, appetite changes? Or is it more psychological in terms of like you start zoning out or feeling more irritable, short-tempered with people? Like, where do you usually recognize first that you are not in your best headspace? Okay. And now I'm curious, like, what is your go-to move when things start to feel very overwhelming, you're overstimulated? Do you start to like want to self-isolate? Do you start just overanalyzing? Okay. So you are clearly someone that does spend a lot of time in your own head, and that's really good. Self-awareness is definitely key. That's half of the work. The other half is just finding out what to do with that. So do you have like certain things that you turn to distract protect yourself when you're feeling, overstimulated. Okay. All right. No, this is very, very good. I'm glad that you have such a high level of self-awareness. All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit now, and I want to try something that I call the thought interview. Have you ever heard of that? Okay, it's an interesting little technique. So this is a technique I like to use when a thought has been sort of overstaying its welcome, so to speak, and it has like a little too much power over you. So I want you to picture a thought, one that, maybe it's critical, maybe it's protective, maybe it's a repetitive thought. Take your time thinking of one. And let me know when you've pictured a thought that's been sort of cycling on a loop lately. All right, you got it? So now I want you to imagine that thought sitting across from you. All right? We're not going to fight with that. We're just going to listen to it for a moment. And then we're going to ask it, what are you trying to protect me from? Where did you first learn to speak to me this way? And whose voice are you echoing? A lot of times these thoughts that we say to ourselves over and over, they aren't even our own thoughts. Maybe it's something that a parent or coworker or someone said to you, and that's what planted the seed. And now you have this thought inside your head that you are just kind of repeating to yourself on a loop. And you're not even really consciously aware of it. So what I want you to do right now is to just ask those questions. What are you trying to protect me from? Where did you first learn to speak to me this way? And whose voice are you echoing? And I want you just to notice the answers. I don't want you to argue with them. Some of these thoughts they're really ancient, and they think that they're helping, but they're actually not. Another time that we can sort of do this type of technique is in our dreams also. Lots of times these types of thoughts will emerge in a dream as something that's chasing you. And I don't know if you have those dreams often where you're being chased in a dream. And it's like this horrible feeling, and you're running and running and running, and then finally you think like, oh, I could just wake up and escape from this. But I'd like to invite you to try something that's really, really interesting. Instead of waking up next time, if you could turn around and face the thing that's chasing you and confront it and ask it why it's pursuing you, what it wants from you, it can be really, really revealing and also incredibly empowering if you can stop running and turn around and face it and simply ask it, what is it that it wants? Okay, so why don't we just take a little breath right here. You're doing really, really well. I'm just gonna jot down a couple of these things. I just want to save this for later. You said some very, very revealing things. So from what you've shared, I get the sense that you're an incredibly thoughtful person. Maybe even like strategically self-aware. But, I also wonder how much energy you spend navigating your own mind without anyone else there witnessing it with you. And that's what this space is for. It's all just about having a witness to your thoughts. And right now, like I said, we're not trying to fix. We're just trying to witness some things, okay? And I just want to be able to help you see yourself more clearly and from a different angle that you might not be able to view yourself from. It's almost like I'm your own personal drone. So I don't know if you've ever watched like footage that people take with their drones. So say, you know, you're on this hike, and with your own eyes, you're able to peer out and view this, you know, beautiful landscape that's in front of you. But you're only able to view it from your own personal perspective. And then when you send that drone up, you know, from a different vantage point, and you look at that footage, suddenly your perspective completely changes, and you're able to see things from completely new angles that you weren't able to see with just your eyes alone. So I want to be your drone in this situation. I want to be able to show you things from a perspective that you yourself are not able to see just on your own. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Okay, so let me just move down here. So based on like what you've been saying to me, I can see that you've been doing a lot of this emotional discovery on your own and trying to decode all these thoughts, and that's, you know, it's really, really exhausting, especially when there's nobody there with you to help you see the big picture. And I think that so many times people will think that, you know, if they feel depressed, if they feel anxious, that there's something wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with you. There's just something in you, a thought or an emotion, that's trying to make its way to the surface, that's trying to be known to you. And it's our job here together to figure out what those thoughts are that are trying to work their way to the surface, that are trying to be known, that are trying to be seen, but that we're not able to process entirely on our own, because they're just, like I said, one, they're overwhelming, and two, we don't have lots of times by ourselves the correct vantage point to see everything the way we can with a new set of eyes. All right, so that's definitely something that we're going to be working on, just seeing things from a new perspective. All right, so we're going to try another little exercise. All right, so this is an interesting little exercise. What I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to try to picture your mind as if it were a room. All right? And I want you to describe to me what your mind, what this room looks like today. Is it dimly lit? Is it cluttered? Are there just like stacks and stacks of boxes inside this room? Is there a chair? There's like tons of clothes draped over it. Does the room feel oppressive? Does the room feel too bright, too overwhelming? So just describe to me, you know, as if your mind were a room, what you feel this room looks like in as much detail as you can. But I don't want you to try to fix it. I don't want you to think we have to clean it. We're just noticing the space that you live in right now, okay? So no judgments. We're just observing. Okay. You know, sometimes awareness alone can be very, very healing. So oftentimes we are not even aware of the space that we're existing in. So just bringing your awareness to this room and what it feels like in this room, that is progress in and of itself. All right, so now Now you visualize that. I want you to keep your eyes closed. I want you to picture just opening a window in this room. So you've opened a window and you can see the sunlight coming in. You can feel a nice gentle breeze coming in the room. Maybe the faint sounds of like some papers sort of like being rustled by the wind. So picture that for a moment. The window is opened. You can feel the sunlight streaming in and the fresh air. Does that feel a little bit better? So I just want you to know from where I'm sitting right now, you are not someone that lacks, strength or clarity. You definitely have that. You have a very, very active inner world, I can tell. Even more intricate than most people, I would say. And that's definitely not a flaw. It just means that, it's gonna take a little work and a little precision to get things organized, but we're gonna do that together, okay? So now with your eyes still closed, we're gonna go beyond the room that you feel like you're living in. And I want you to visualize your hometown, the city that you grew up in. I want you to visualize it at nighttime. And there's gonna be some streets in your neighborhood that are quiet, other streets that are loud. There's gonna be streets that are lined up with lots of tall buildings and light coming through the buildings. There's gonna be other section of your city that, is a little bit more run down, that needs repairs. And I'm sure there's parts of your city that you have not ever explored. But it's all still your city. And you don't have to move out of it. You just have to learn how to walk through it and navigate your way through it with more light. Does that make sense? So our goal in our upcoming sessions is going to be to allow you to have more light come in to the room that you're living in on a daily basis, and to allow you to walk through, the neighborhood of your mind more freely and with more awareness than you currently have. Okay, it's not to get you to move, to a completely new space. We're just gonna do some gentle repairs and some spring cleaning of the space that you already live in, okay? I can tell though that you are going to do really, really well in therapy, because I can see that you're such an introspective person. Like, you definitely have a very high level of self-awareness. So that's gonna really help us tremendously in upcoming sessions. So how are you feeling? How are you feeling right now? Okay. So why don't we, before we wind down today, why don't we just do like a little sort of breath exercise, just to sort of ground us and have you be like a little bit more relaxed before you have to go back out into the real world. Okay, so why don't you close your eyes again. And we're going to go back to that image of the room that you were picturing. Except for now, we're going to really, really visualize the sunlight coming in and lighting up every corner of that room. I want you just to see how the sunlight changes the feel of that room and how feeling the nice, cool breeze makes the energy of that room seem so much lighter and so much more peaceful and so much less threatening. And I want you to do the same thing with that neighborhood you were picturing. It's not nighttime anymore. It's daytime. And it's a beautiful, beautiful summer day. It's the perfect temperature outside. You can hear like the distant sounds of like children laughing and playing outside. You can smell, like the flowers, the jasmine or like the honeysuckle. It's like this beautiful scent in the air. And you're just walking down whatever your favorite street is in your neighborhood and whatever your favorite sounds are from that neighborhood. Whether it's like a coffee shop and you can smell the aroma of the freshly baked beans from the coffee shop, or a donut shop and you smell the croissants baking. There's a basketball court. You can hear the sounds of people playing basketball. And you're just walking through your neighborhood, your childhood hometown. And you're seeing the best parts of it. The parts of it that, form your happiest memories. Just keep walking down that street. Appreciating where you came from and how this place has shaped you into the person that you are today. And I want you to feel grateful. Not everything was good, but it's made you who you are. And even if it doesn't feel good right now, you are exactly where you need to be. Everything that has happened and everything that is happening is turning you into the exact person that you need to be. And this is all part of the journey. This is all part of the experience. And we don't just get to skip, from the best part to the next best part. Because if we skip that important part of the journey, we are not going to turn into the most evolved version of ourselves. We have to, walk through some parts that aren't as desirable, that aren't as fun, that aren't as, relaxing, but they're going to turn you into the person that you need to be, that has so much inner strength and so much fortitude, and who knows they can withstand any storm, So we're gonna walk through this neighborhood together, step by step. And at some point we're gonna end up on the other side, okay? At some point we're going to navigate our way all the way to the other side. But I don't want you to rush through the journey. Because it's all part of the experience. And we're just going to move at whatever pace we move at. And whenever we get to the other side, we get there. There's absolutely no rush. But I just want you to know that you are exactly where you need to be. And that you're going to end up exactly where you need to end up. The only thing that I'm going to ask of you is that you don't stop walking, okay? I just want you to keep moving forward. I don't want you to turn around and go back, all right? The only thing I'm going to ask of you can be the smallest step possible, but I want you to keep taking those steps, all right? And that's the only thing that I want you to focus on in our sessions, is that we are slowly making our way to the other side. All right, so why don't you open your eyes now? I think that you did a fantastic job today. Incredibly incredibly proud of you. And I'm going to get up, I'm going to walk you out, and we'll get the rest of that paperwork signed together. But you did extraordinary today, and you should be really, really proud of yourself, okay? All right, wonderful. So let's go walk out together.